Alright, it's January 28th. Let me see if I can do this before my computer battery dies. I'm at 12%. Okay, I need to turn the brightness up for me so you can see. Personally, I didn't see many trades on my chart. You can see we had mostly a range day, and now it just rallied up. So I'm sure there's some sort of measured move in there. Let's take a look at this. So the open is right about here, and I didn't see. This is definitely a trade right here. Okay, this is a second entry long right here. So definitely take that. First entry failed, second entry. You might take that, but that's aggressive because you're going into the swing highs. So that's a failed second entry. Is there anything before that? We were trending down in the overnight. A nice healthy trend. 5 o'clock comes right about here, and you don't really get much to trade off of there. So we make this correction down into this this range, this very small range, and I don't see any great setups in here. This one looks really nice and tempting, but you know, you're going into a level of resistance, and we don't know how this thing's going to react when it hits that resistance. You might also take one of these. I kind of like that, to be honest. But then you probably would have a little heart attack if you didn't hit your targets right on this next signal bar. So tough to sit through that. None of these look really good. You can see it looks like we have a channel up and a break, and I mean, it doesn't really look like we get a move to a new high. So this is definitely a first failed second entry short. So you might take that, but that's congestive, and we're waiting on a new high, and you see this bounce off the midline, so I'm not too sure I would take that. And this is tempting to take as a second entry, but it's below the EMA. But I'm sure it would have gotten you a scalp. 1625, I think. So yeah, that would have gotten you a scalp. So you could definitely consider this one. Nothing really here. This is a hidden second entry, but it doesn't even set up anyway. And just chopping around, we bounce. This is too far from the EMA, and we don't get any setups in here anyway. You get a first entry, second entry, signal bar is no good, and then you get a higher low, and that confirms this trend channel. So I do like that. That'd be hard to see in real time, but if you do see it, take it. Let me check on my battery. All right, I'm down to 10%. We get this spike in channel, and this was actually kind of difficult to find too. And it wouldn't really have helped you much. But we're working higher, and you get a really nice failed second entry short right here with plenty of room to these highs. So I do like that. It's also at the overnight highs. It bounces off that level of support. And then we come up here and form this range, and there's nothing you can do in there. It's too congestive. Come up here, we find resistance right here. You can see a double test. And you get a first entry, second entry, and I like this as a trap. All the shorts are coming in, and we did get an overshoot of this channel up here, but the way this midline was holding, and then we get a higher low right here, so I like that as a trap. But then we just form a double test up here, and then it reverses, and you get this failure, but that's not off a trend line, and that's kind of far from the EMA. So that's aggressive, but that's a quick scalp. First failed second entry right here. Doesn't set up well. But if you look at this as a double bottom, you get a first entry, failed second entry. I do, to be honest, like that, but you might see right there, that looks like there's a channel right there. So that being the case, I would look at it as like a midline from here, and then you're going right into that level of resistance. If you went long there, you would have scalped out, but yeah, just something to think about. And here we get another failure. First failed second entry short, and I like the way that sets up. Above the EMA, you can see it bounce off the EMA. And then we come down here, first entry, second entry, third entry, fourth entry. So why do I like this so much? Just because of how bullish it is. And you kind of could look at this as a double top, first entry, second entry. So it's also off the overnight highs. And we just spike up into this congestion, and then we have a sell-off, and all this is way too far from the EMA. You can see a break and a couple moves down to a new low before we reverse. And you get a first entry, failed second entry. It doesn't set up well. It's very congestive. But then we start moving higher, and you get confirmation of that trend channel up here, which is right off the overnight highs. But there's first entry, second entry, it's a third entry. And you got some dojis in there. So form this range here, no setups. This high or low, you're going into the highs, so you don't want to take that. And then we form a range up here. We break out, and you get a first entry, failed second entry, long, but that's super congestive, and the move up has just been so strong. And I think that, yeah, that brings us into 12:30. So I didn't see many entries today. Maybe you saw something different, but I'm going to close this up so maybe I can get it up to YouTube before my computer dies. Have a blessed weekend.